just like and subscribe. I do need more subscribers because not that many people subscribe to me because I'm not that popular, but I don't know why.
What's up, YouTube?
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's good.
What's up, YouTube? Hello. So this is quite interesting. It is Stewart Lee not doing stand-up comedy. He's actually juggling, which is an unknown skill of it. No, it's not. This is Stewart Lee, and it's not him doing anything really. There is a bit of him talking. This is interesting because it's from a show, I think on, was it Channel 4 or is this ITV? Anyway, it's 100 best stand-ups of all time. I'll put the details there for you. And it's one of these clip shows where they show little bits, and they've ranked it, and I think it was about 3.5 hours long, and it goes through the best stand-up comedians of all time in about 2010. And of course, what's so good about this, or elevates this to the realm of being a bit interesting, is that Stewart Lee did a show called 41st Best Stand-Up Comedian, or 41st Best Stand-Up, I think it's just called. And this is the actual clip. So I sort of came across this, and I was like, that is the actual show that his whole routine is sort of based on. So I thought it's definitely worth having a look at this, and it is quite interesting. So let's dive in. I have to do that, see, every time. I'm getting repetitive strain injury in my shoulder from doing that. But let's dive in to this.
He's probably the best stand-up in Britain at the moment. Who's actually working?
I think Stewart Lee is sublime at the moment.
Stewart Lee is brilliant, full stop.
Stewart Lee began his career as one half of the comedy duo Lee and Herring. More recently, he gained notoriety as the co-writer of Jerry Springer the Opera, but is considered an all-round agent provocateur and one of the most admired stand-ups on the circuit.
It's kind of the same sort of thing as I've always been doing. It's just that in 2000, I'd get reviewed and people would go, here he is again with his long, monotonous sentences, boring. And then suddenly, 4 years later, they're going, hooray, here he is again with his long, monotonous sentences. Genius, 5 stars. So I don't know what happened. Walking around there on the 9th of November, 911, and I went into a little Spanish bar. And on television, there was all this film of buildings on fire and things falling down and people running around screaming. And I said to the barman, where's that? In Spanish, ¿Dónde está? And he said, Nuevo Eureka. And I thought, it's in Colombia or somewhere, it doesn't matter.
It'll make you think about a whole host of subjects, so you'll go away, it's sort of enlightened as well as amused.
And then I watched for a bit longer Glasgow, and I realised that it was New York, where English-speaking people live. And therefore, a terrible, newsworthy tragedy.
The thing about Stewart is you just know that every word that comes out he's wrestled with, thought about, pondered.
If you were to lock an American for 60 years in an empty underground bunker which contained nothing except a woolly tea cosy, the American would not even be curious enough to be tempted to see if the tea cosy would make a serviceable hat.
Okay.
So I stayed with some friends last week, and I said,
Sean Hughes. Where are they now? Sean Hughes was quite good. He definitely didn't deserve to be one slot above Stewart Lee in the 100 best comedians of all time. All time! All the millennia that stand-up comedy has been going on. But Sean Hughes was quite funny, and he had his own little show. He was stand-up, he was quite sort of nice, self-deprecating, I guess he would have been around, early 2000s. And sorry, my head's going out of frame a bit, that's better. And he was quite good, but he wasn't obviously better than Stewart Lee. I mean, clearly the list is pretty random, and Stu does a whole thing, because I call him Stu because I watch a lot of his stuff, so I sort of feel quite a close bond with him. So he does a lot of stuff about his mum not really appreciating his success, and only being 41st best stand-up comedian in a sort of ironic way. And he talks about Jerry Springer the Opera, which you saw in that clip there. Another interesting thing for me, but I'm going to tell you anyway because you might find it interesting, is that the bit they showed there with the stuff about the Twin Towers attacks, and him being in a bar in Spain, and it all builds to quite a funny, very funny joke about the Finsbury Park Mosque and him farting into the microphone on the tower at the top. There's a spoiler there. I should have said that before I said all that. So maybe I'll put a big thing flashing on the screen like that. But I saw that, actually. I saw him do that live, and I'd forgotten this until recently. But I went to the Comedy Store, and it was probably about 2009 or 10, I guess. It's quite interesting that he managed to... So he must have been on stage for a good 10 minutes, which is quite a long time, because usually it's about 3 or 4 minutes. I think, because I'm sure he did the whole Twin Towers thing and followed the joke right through to the bit with the mosque, and made it into one little segment, which he's often said it's quite hard for him to do, because his act tends to his act tends to I've got sort of eye bogies. His act tends to be a whole hour-long sort of thing that I've gone out of focus again. Oh, that's better. Tends to be a whole thing that builds to something, and there's a through line. It worked very well, and in fact, I remember that night Ardlo Hanlon was I think he was the headlining act. It was a charity gig, and the person I was with absolutely pissed him off, because in Father Ted there's a thing, I think is it My Lovely Horse? He sings a song called My Lovely Horse, and the guy I was there with, he was a boyfriend of someone, just went on and on to get him to sing My Lovely Horse, and of course the whole audience joined in. And then he said Ardlo Hanlon was refusing to do it because obviously he just wanted to get on and do fucking material, and the whole audience in the end forced him, with the promise of giving money to charity, to sing My Lovely Horse, and thus, though it was very funny, probably pissed him off and ruined his evening. So it's a shame, really. But anyway, so there you go. Stewart Lee, clip shows how he was inspired to do one of his routines. Nothing more to say, really. Hope you enjoyed that little slice of, it's a public service I do here, really. I see things on the internet that you could easily see yourself, but then I juxtaposition them cleverly and then say things about them in a slightly patronising way and that makes you think, and then you think about it and you go, that guy's a genius. How does he put those things together? Brilliant. It's absolutely just like and subscribe. I do need more subscribers because not that many people subscribe to me because I'm not that popular. But I don't know why. I should be. So thank you, and don't nobody go nowhere.